This is Geometry, Chapter 12, Section 4, in which we will study volumes of perimeters and cylinders. Back in 12.2, we talked about how to find surface areas for these things. Now we're going to be finding the volumes. And regardless of what kind of prism we're talking about, the volume is always equal to the area of the base times the height. Capital B for area of base times height. Now that means if it's a pentagon here, then we may have to get out the apothem rules to work that out. If it's rectangular, it's the formula that you grew up with, length times width, because that's area of the base, length times width times height. But be careful, length times width times height only applies to rectangular ones. If it's anything fun like this, then more likely than not, we're going to have to break out the apothem rules that we worked on last chapter. So we'll start with something simple. We've got the volume of this prism. We have a 15 side, a 10 side, and a 9 here. Well, we can get the area of the base if we had this third side over here. Well, we can get that from a little Pythagorean game because we like Pythagorean theorem. It gets us through a lot of stuff. So now we know that dimension is 12. Now we can get the area of the base, 1/2 base times height. That's the area of the base, times the height of the prism, the distance between the two bases, gives us 540. Now compare that to this beauty. We have a pentagonal prism that was so much fun to try to draw. All the sides are 5 millimeters, and thankfully they gave me the apothem, 3.4 millimeters, otherwise we would have to find that. Well, first we need area of the base, which is 1/2 times the apothem times the perimeter that we worked on last chapter. Then we take that area times the height, the distance between the two bases, to get our final volume. You'll notice the volume has been millimeters cubed, or a cubic unit here. Volume is cubed, area is squared. Now the same idea applies to a cylinder as a prism. That is to say, it's still the area of the base times the height. Now, since it's a cylinder, we know the base is a circle, we can write a more specific formula, pi r squared times h. Okay, that gives us a little bit more specific for a cylinder, but if you don't remember that, and all you remember is area of base times height, that should work for you, because you know how to find the area of the base is pi r squared times height. So it's the same either way you want to approach it. So let's find ourselves a volume of a cylinder, and then we'll call it a day here. We have a diameter of 6, which means the radius is, of course, 3. So pi times radius squared times height. And my trusty calculator tells me it's 226 and change cubic inches. Okay. Volumes of cylinders, volumes of prisms, all the same, area of the base times the height. You may have to do a little Pythagorean work to get yourself going. If you had questions along the way, hopefully you wrote those down. Bring them in with you, and we'll see you in class.